Sometimes moving on, sometimes starting over, you would think that that makes you weak, but you actually would be surprised how much it takes and how brave you have to be able to start a new chapter. All right. Whether that's with your relationship, whether that is with your career, um, it's never easy to be uncomfortable and to be in the unknown, right? This reminded me this young guy that I worked with. He was at this company, very smart individual, a lot of potential. I really admired um, the wisdom and the knowledge that he had for such a young age. I mean, he for 23 years old, he was an old soul for sure. He was committed to his fiance. He was a religious man. Tried to do the right thing. Just lived beyond his time. And I really admired that. And he ended up quitting the company. And we had several conversations in private where it was something that he was nervous about, right? And he would, he would let me know like, hey, I know it's the right thing to do and it's scary. And the reality is any new chapter that you start, it's always going to be scary leaving what you are already familiar with and comfortable with, right? And starting this new chapter and taking a risk of maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, right? And that's exactly what I told him. I said, look, if it's in your spirit that you know it's time to make the move, because sometimes we feel it, even though we feel the fear, but we also know there's something calling us that keeps on basically magnetizing us to make a change, to make a decision, right? But we just go back to comfort because that's where there's no pain and there's no tension. But I feel, and this is what I told him, if you start to get those signs, you feel it in your gut, like, okay, it's time for me to make a move. I told him, follow it. At the end of the day, you can always fall back to where you were at. All right. If you can leave doors open and you can always come to it because you have a good reputation, right? Sometimes you want to burn the bridge and just leave and not give yourself a way to be able to come back. All right. Because sometimes you're not meant to come back and you're going to face a little bit of tension, a little bit of pain, and you're going to want to go back to your comfort zone, knowing that it's not good for you. You're only going to come back, get a little bit of comfort, whether that's in a relationship, going back to your old job or whatever it is. You're going to go there, get the comfort again. And it's only a matter of time before you feel like, oh, I fell into this trap all over again. Right. So, he was moving out of state. He was, going to start a whole new life with his fiance, which I feel like that's a beautiful thing to do, to be able to share a new experience with your partner. And I just told him, hey, look, at the end of the day, make a decision, execute. You calculated it. Your partner's on board. You know what? Whatever comes with it, whether it's good or bad, it was meant for you. All right. You move to a whole different state and all of a sudden you lose everything and you have to live in your car and you have to shower at the gym. That's a badass story. Like eventually when you get yourself out of it, you're going to be able to look back and be able to say, hey man, I could write a book based on this situation. And that's the way I look at it now. Like, man, if you got to sleep on the floor now, so be it. Because if you know you got the capacity and you know you got the ability to get back on track, then it just makes the story even better. All it does is create a better testimony that when you tell people, hey, look, I went through this and I overcame it. That's the reason I'm telling you that you could do it as well, right? So as much as sometimes people will say or think, or even you might feel, I'm running away from this. No, sometimes what's happening is you're running towards something scary for a better future or a better opportunity, right? Sometimes you got to shut that door. You just got to shut that door in order for you to be able to get to that bigger door, right? And sometimes what happens is you leave that comfort zone. Now you go into a zone that has tension and it's uncomfortable. And then you're faced with adversity. But the gap between the door that you closed and the new door that you're supposed to get to is going to be met with that tension in the middle. But that middle part is going to give you character. that middle part is going to give you strength and build armor, because everything that you go through now gives you armor. You could not get to that bigger door unless you went through that trials and tribulation in order to make you the adequate candidate to be able to get to the next level, right? It's like, for example, if you gave somebody like Elon Musk, and he was in his early 20s, and you just drop what Tesla is now, would he be able to really run the company the way it runs now? Or has all the experience and trials and tribulations for decades got him to where he's able to manage what he's doing, right? Same thing with, someone that might be, a multimillionaire, or for example, a really successful, athlete or something like that. Through all those times of practice, through all those trials and tribulations, through all those, sweat, blood, and tears, it allows someone to create the character to be able to become essentially the GOAT of whatever they're doing, right? You're becoming the GOAT of your own life and your own destiny. Because at the end of the day, we have one life, and you choose what level do you want to live it at, right? I truly believe that if God gives you a gift, and if God gives you an idea and a dream, it's because it's meant for you. If it wasn't meant for you, why would God even put it in your head, right? For example, let's say I could become a professional hockey player. I don't play hockey, and it's not in my dreams to become that. So I feel like it's never been put into my head, and I've never even, wanted to go in an ice ring and wanted to play hockey. It's just not in me to want to do that, right? There's things that will never draw your attention because that's not your calling. Versus there's some people that are like, I could never stand in front of camera and talk because I can make a mistake, and because it's uncomfortable, because I might not like the way I sound, et cetera, et cetera. As is for me, it's like, this is my calling. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to share a message. I'm supposed to share the things that I'm going through to help people and to encourage them to do the same, and to be able to build a brand. And then later on to be able to establish a business based on the trust that I have built with the people that follow and the people that watch me, right? So in closing, starting something new, or quote unquote walking away from something, is actually brave. You're walking into the unknown. You're walking into the darkness, but you're walking in with the confidence of, I know what I'm meant for. I know what I'm called for, and I'm going to follow that. And I'm going to take whatever comes with it, good or bad, because we know that bad is just going to build character. And the more trials and tribulations you go through, the more you can look back, in a couple years, and a lot of the times you're so impressed with yourself, like all the things that you were able to overcome, that would have broke somebody else. And that's something to be proud of. And I think it's very rare for you not to be proud of. That's why there's people out there that they've reached high levels and they don't have to apologize for it because they worked their ass off to get there. Okay? So if you're on the edge right now of a decision you got to make, be truthful with yourself, go within. Whether it's in a prayer or a religious matter, or it's just you just going in and really thinking and meditating and saying, hey, if it's calling me, it's for a reason. And if it's scary, it's probably because it comes with a big reward. So follow it. Okay? Appreciate you watching. Drop a like if this helped you. Leave a comment. Maybe there's an experience that scared you. Maybe you're in the middle of it right now, or maybe you got something else that's coming up. Share it. I'd love to read it. I'll respond. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. All right. Don't forget, you're a chosen one. Peace.